This is tips and tricks number 3, poor man's quadratic formula. This is where you can get all the information. Actually, you know what? Let's upgrade this to the 21st century. This is a poor person's quadratic formula. And what we're going to do is we're going to put the quadratic formula into y9 and y0 so that we have access to it at any time that we need it. I definitely want to use this for application problems, and I want to make sure my students know how to do this by hand before I let them use the calculator. All right, so let's go to y equals, and I'm going to put half the quadratic formula into y9 and half into y0, so arrow down to y9, and I know some of you are uncomfortable going down there. You've never probably been beyond y2, so it's kind of crazy to be there, but it's fine. So I do need a rational expression for these, so I could either use alpha y equals for the fraction or alpha x t theta n for the fraction, whichever one works for you. But get yourself a rational expression. I'm going to need the opposite key of alpha apps, which is the letter B. There's all the letters are in green and alpha is green. Plus, the square root is above x squared, it's blue, so second x squared. So the discriminant b squared minus 4ac needs to go there, so alpha apps for the letter B and then the squaring key. Minus 4 alpha math to get A and alpha program to get C. Notice I'm still under the radical sign, but if I press the right arrow as it asked, I'm out from under the radical sign. Down arrow or right arrow, and then 2 alpha math, press enter. So you may want to pause to get caught up there to make sure yours looks like that. Now y0 is going to have almost exactly the same thing in it, but I don't want to have to type that whole thing again. Let's go ahead and copy and paste. All right, let's copy and paste on here. So make sure you're sitting in y0 first. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the recall feature. We're going to press second followed by the store key, second stow, and it brings up a RICL, which stands for recall. And what we want to do is recall what's in y9. And we can get y9 from either the vars or from the alpha trace. I'm going to do it from alpha trace. So alpha trace. And then you can press the number 9, or I will go to 9 and then press enter. And this says recall y9, which is that expression. And I was sitting in y0, so when I recall it, when I press enter, it pastes it there. So let's go ahead and press enter. And there it is. Again, if I went too fast, just rewind it, play it again. Now, what I need to do now is change this plus to a minus, and I'll be pretty much finished. I could keep arrowing to the left to get there, but if I press second left arrow, it takes me to the beginning, which is a quick way of getting there. Take a wild guess how you get to the end. Yeah, second right arrow, but so let me just go over, sit on top of that plus sign, press the minus sign, and now I can go ahead and press the up arrow to get out of both of those. And there's my quadratic formula right there. So press pause to get caught up. All right. All right, so I'm going to move to the next page and move my calculator back up there. And I'm going to make it so that it's just a calculator sitting like this. Let me pull this off here so that you can see what's in my y equals. It's in my y equals right there. And I'm going to keep this always in front so it doesn't keep falling down there. So I'm going to go off to the home screen. Second mode is quit. And I'm going to solve this equation. So A is 1, B is -1, C is -6. So I'm going to take 1 and store it into alpha math, which is the letter A, enter, and now A has the value 1. Similarly, -1, store, alpha apps for B, press enter, and -6, store, alpha program, which will give me the letter C, enter. Now those three values are in there, and so when I evaluate y9, I'll get one solution. y0, I'll get the other solution. So again, I'm going to go alpha trace to find the y variables. Pick y9. Now make sure you and your students understand what it's going to do. It's going to take the current values of A, B, and C, substitute them in here, do all the calculations, and come up with an answer. Hopefully 3 or -2, because I think those are the solutions. And there's the 3. And then when I bring up y0, alpha trace, and find y0, it's going to again evaluate using these current values, and we're getting -2. So this is what I call the poor person's quadratic formula. So you can also do this with imaginary values on the color calculator, but you do need to be in imaginary mode. So here I have one that does have imaginary or complex roots. So I'm going to press clear first, and I'm going to store 1, -4, and 13 into A, B, and C, respectively. Even though 1 is already there, I'm still going to do it. 1, store alpha A. -4, store alpha B. And 13, store alpha C. And I'm going to alpha trace, bring up y9. Oh, you know what? I forgot to change the mode, didn't I? So let's go ahead and change the mode. Mode. And go down to real. Turn right and press enter on A plus BI. So let me make sure I've got that. A plus BI is the mode. And now when I press alpha trace to get the y variables, y9, I'm getting 2 plus 3i for one of the solutions. And I think you can pretty much guess what y0 is going to be, but let's go ahead and find it anyway. Alpha trace, y0, enter, and yep, you're right, complex conjugate is what we got, 2 minus 3i. Now, one of the things you want to do, you can keep this in your calculator, but what we want to do is turn off the equal sign. Otherwise, it'll try to graph these answers, and we don't want to do that. That would be annoying. So to turn off the graph but keep the expression there, just press enter on the equal sign so that the black box disappears. So I'm pressing enter on both of those equal signs so that they will not graph. So you can go ahead and play with that, but this is the poor person's quadratic formula.